you.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure you turn on your microphone.
Yes.
You did.
Okay. No, I
No,
thank
you
you for reminding me. I didn't want to be over there like making noises. Check, check. This one. Okay,
Ooh,
here we go.
now we can
Okay.
hear.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful space. I'm so happy to be here, and I've actually never been here in Wacom, and I've actually never been to a Creative Mornings. Maybe because I have a hard time getting places early in the morning. I actually live in Gresham, so it was quite the trek this morning, and I'm just really happy to be here and be in this room with everyone, and I appreciated that great opening, and just thank you. So my name is Britt Howard, and I'm going to take you on a little bit of a unique journey for me and like the types of talks I've given and things like that, because this one is a little bit more undulating and it's layered, and because patterns, layers on patterns, was kind of my theme when I put this together. And I really wanted to give you something special because I know that you are a special bunch and that you want to hear from authentic, like a deeper authentic creative story, and not just like, this is what I feel about sustainability or my core values at my business, which is also like super cool. But so that's what we're gonna do today. And I'm just gonna get my bearings here. Is this, okay. Portland Garment Factory, that's my business I started 16 years ago. So I started PGF when I was 25 years old, and I was a student at Portland State, and I was studying anthropology. So I was actually in a McNair scholarship program, pre-PhD. I thought I was gonna be like a Jane Goodall type of person. And I was working at the Oregon Zoo with the orangutans, and that's what I thought my life's mission was. But I kind of quickly realized that I'm like a Dennis Rodman character everywhere I go. And maybe now that I'm older, I realize like I shouldn't have put that on myself. But at the time, I was like, yes, I can play basketball. Do I fit in this group? Like, who doesn't fit? And that's kind of like, I was like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me. And at the same time, I had my second child. So I had my first child when I was in high school and my second baby when I was in college. And my daughter, I was making her clothes, and everywhere we went, people were like, where did you get these baby clothes? And I was like, I made them. And I think it was because they were unique, because they were black, like linen, and like there's not a lot of like all black, like goth baby clothes, maybe. So I don't know if that's what it was, but I was getting a lot of feedback like, hey, you should like make a baby clothes line. And I was like a hustler. I was selling vintage, selling records, selling books. I mean, I'd been doing this since I grew up here. So this is like what I cut my teeth on and how I survived being a teen mom. So I was like, cool, I'll just make clothes and sell it on Etsy, this thing called Etsy, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I started doing. And then I was quickly, and I'm trying to wedge this long story in to tell you the next slide. It is that I didn't know how to make things into different sizes, okay? So I didn't have a pattern making background, and I could kind of like make things bigger and then cut the fabric out, and sew it. But I didn't know traditional pattern making. And so that was what set out my journey to find a pattern maker, which I realized there's not any like little workrooms in Portland where you can go and have your stuff made. And so that's kind of where the idea of Portland Garment Factory came from. Okay, so here you can see me in my first studio. Oh yeah, I have a laser pointer. My baby is nursing. And then this is kind of like the journey. Like this is my first studio, and we were on Belmont, like really, the Radius, I think it's Radius, the clay. So that building used to just be like full of artists. I was in a concrete room that had no windows, which is this room. This is my son Kelly and my daughter Piper, and I put them in here because I thought I've never shown photos in this way of my children and with me, and I just think it's fun. And all of the girls at work that saw this deck before I sent it out, they were like, "Whoa, I've never even seen that picture." So I wanted to share that with you. They're a huge part of my life, obviously. So and here we are at the Purple Fashion Show a few years later. They're 23 and 17 now. So anyway, my backstory is that I'm a mom, and I have always been a mom since I was being mommed. So my journey has always been about me and my children and my family, and my creative journey started really when I was in high school. I went to a performing arts high school, and I got in for dance, and then I had a few foot surgeries, and I ended up doing visual arts, and that's like, I was always told by my teachers at the school, we were all told, like, you're an artist. We were just, you're here, which being here just means you're an artist. So I think that cultivated a deep, like, resounding, you are creative inside of me. And it also, I think, liberated me, or not, maybe that's a strong word, from thinking like, if I want to be an artist, I have to go to art school, because I think I just was like, oh no, I'm always going to make art, like that's the thing I'm doing, and then I'm also going to try to have this other career. It ended up dovetailing where, now I'm doing, I have a business. Like, I didn't mean to do that either. So here's the kind of like a lot of people, I tried to jam a lot in here. It's 16 years of human people who have been the talented people that have helped create and cultivate Portland Garment Factory with me. So I started the business in 2008. In 2009, I brought on Rosemary, my business partner at the time. She was with me for 7 years. She's like a phenomenal human. And together we grew this business. These are just different group outings and different, through the years. There's my niece, because my sister-in-law used to work for me. And my mom, that's my mom. She works at Portland Garment Factory. My brother also does. My kids have had jobs there. So it's like it's very familial. And I didn't really even realize that until I started making this. And I was like, whoa, it's very familial. So I kind of want to get into like what Portland Garment Factory does, what our process is, and why, and like how we are creative every day. So speed up to 2021. I'm trying to remember what year it was. Many of you may know that the whole business burned down. So I don't want to spend like a ton of time on that, because it's a story that's been told here and there, but I did have an arson fire. My whole company was burned down. It was awful. It was right after COVID. But what the beauty that came out of that, and what inspires me to be like, I'm not being toxically positive right now. I'm like, actually, like, you can make lemonade. And we were able to really come together with like all of the different hurdles and those opportunities to like build something better in the downtime. We really were able to take advantage of that. And we have a new building, and we have, we got new equipment. We were able to like really think about, how do we want to build this business if we started now, knowing what we know from the past. So it has been a true gift if you really think about like, something about your business or your creative practice, and then you get the opportunity to start over with money from the insurance company. Like, it's kind of like wild. It also had like a ton of strife, and it had a lot of like yucky parts to it, including that like I'm a gritty person and I don't like new things, and I definitely don't like Amazon boxes and packages, and that's all it felt like for the first year. Is like every day we were getting pallets and pallets of like junk, and like we had tons of garbage because we had to order all this stuff to get. So it's like setting up a business that you cultivated through like finding a table at a garage sale, or somebody gave you this, and then all of a sudden, 15 years into one few month moment it was just, that part was yucky too, but also totally, we recycle it, it's fine. So we were able to set Portland Garment Factory up for success in the vision that we had for the future. And one of the things that we did was really double down on our sustainability efforts. And we're a certified B Corp, so we were able to like plan how the future of our recycling, our material waste recycling goes, and how do we see that even in the building that we chose to move into. And so, or that chose us. Just kidding, but it's like, I love it so much. And also getting a bigger building that, we can grow into. Like even looking at, this picture, that's not even what the space looks like anymore at all, because we've moved and, but there's just one person's desk just floating because it's like so much space. They were like, it's like if they were sitting here. But we've been able to like, grow and in the space, and I'm in awe right now. I'm like, I know, damn. And it's, so yeah, I'm gonna move on. Okay, so what is it exactly that you do? What is it you do exactly? we started as a garment manufacturing company, right? So of course at the time I'm new to this industry and I don't know really at all what I'm doing. So I was like, Portland Garment Factory, it's like naming your child Arthur. They will grow into it. Because we weren't like a factory. We had like 2 sewing machines, and people would be like, this isn't a factory. And I'm like, you just wait, I have a vision. I started the business with $2,000 that I borrowed from my best friend from high school's mom. So that's why we were in that little room, and I got lots of gifted things. People were really feeding off of my passion and excitement to build this thing. So there was a lot of elders in the community, like people who ran the Bassist sewing school that used to be here in the 80s. Like those people were coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, I have this machine, I'd love to give it to you. So there was a lot of community layering happening of physical stuff for the foundation of PGF at the beginning, and even till now, I'm still really good, close friends with Julio Enciso, who is like my sewing machine repairman. So there was a lot of that coming together at the beginning, and where we're at now, like what is it exactly we do now, is we realized, and I'm sure many of you feel or have like realized this as you go along in your creative journey, you're like, oh, I could dabble over there, and like, oh, that I actually like being over here, and that's very much me, like realizing, oh, I can make I think we got a job to make a rainbow, like a 40-foot fabric rainbow. And that was when I was like, oh, we can sew soft sculpture. Like that's what I actually want to be doing. I just thought that I had to make clothing. And then we started kind of like realizing we could work in the commercial industry. And then so I started navigating that. And then, over the years realizing like we're actually kind of operating as an agency, but we're getting treated like we're a vendor. And we're getting talked to like we're a vendor, but we're actually providing like all of these services that agencies provide, and so we need to be more like on par with that, with the way that we do things. So yeah, retail, wearables, art fabrication, hospitality, these are all industries that we work in, and we play in all the space and more. You looking at your watch made me realize I need to hurry up. So our process is, engineering and development. That's where we are downloading the project from our client, talking to them about what it is they're interested in building, whether it's a wearable or a soft good or a partial soft good that matches with a hard good. We do lots of stuff like that. Then we find the materials, so we have a full materials sourcing department. That was something that we layered on as we grew, because we realized like one of the biggest hurdles for the customers, and this is like year 2, was they wanted something, but they didn't know where to get the materials. And so we just realized like if we can charge for that and we can import materials for people and build a library, then we're gonna be solving their problem, and we'll become more of a one-stop shop, because we don't have a garment district the way that like LA or New York does. So you can't like go to each buddy around this, in the garment district and get your things taken care of. We really had to have it all under one roof. Prototyping and sampling, that's huge. Like obviously we have to try things out, and we do that, and then we go through that process. And then fabrication and production. Sometimes we're just doing the prototype or just the sample, and then other times we do like 1,000-unit productions. So the business has like a lot of sexy, fun stuff that we do that you see on like the Instagram, but then there's a lot of like just like traditional American manufacturing that's happening like in the factory, and we don't always put that on our socials. So there's lots of layers to the business, and the reason mainly is because I have this talented group of employees, and I need to keep them busy. And it's kind of like working on a movie set or something. Like when that set closes down, it's like, where does everybody go? Well, I have to have like an undercurrent of projects that are always going, so that I don't have to do that like costume designer thing where people are getting laid off and then brought back for this production, and then that was just too yo-yo. And also I need my people, like I needed to keep them. So there's a lot of like business strategy in the way that we've built the business that I didn't know was business strategy at the time. So this is an example of a project that we've done in the last like year or two. We've ongoing with Tillamook. They're also a B Corp and very fun people to work with. So this is an example of like, we designed and developed. This is the actual marketing dude like trying the clothes on that we designed. So they came to me and they're like, okay, we're launching shredded cheese, thick and thin. What do you want to do? And I was just like, okay. So this is where we get to be working as designers and really like coming up with the ideas and then prototyping it, and they give us a ton of creative freedom. That mini mic here is one of those tiny mics, and that's like a tiny little cheese that we made. So, and we just did little ice creams, little strawberry ice cream pints that are like this big. So they're a really fun partner to work with for us. And then I feel like this has like a delay. Okay, so this is a really dear to me project that's also been semi-ongoing because this artist is just doing so well, and so Marie Watt is a local artist. I'm sure many of you know about her in her studio. She came to us with this idea of like these traditional jingles that are used in powwow regalia. They make noise, and so you can see the dancer here. This is a world-renowned powwow dancer. She's like a competitive powwow dancer. She has these jingles on her. Anyway, so Marie was like, let's make sculptures that have the jingles, and they're like clouds. And so we collaborated to make these shapes, and PGF did a prototype. The prototype, we liked it so much, we just started making different shapes and blobs, and these are all around the country now, and she's shown them in a bunch of different galleries, and this is really something that is very special to me. Like, I really want to be working and collaborating with artists in this way because it's just, where my heart is. And so that's why I wanted to include this one. And then this one, maybe you've been in the Pam Cut Theater, but this is a very fun project that kind of ties into something I'm going to talk about here in a minute, which is we are given the opportunity to make these like sound baffling, I'm doing air quotes because like I don't know how baffly they are, or it's like soundproofing they are, but they, we're on a tight budget. It's an arts organization, and we're trying to make it look cool and feel gritty and fun. And the prompt was really like, here's the colors, make it punk. And we were like, okay, like we also challenged ourselves to use completely no new materials, except for the hanging portion, like the material that hung. And so this was just a very fun collaborative thing. We pulled materials that we had in the shop, and then materials that other clients had given us back. Like, it's like a lot of people call me and be like, hey, we have a bunch of this, do you want it? And I'm like, no, but I know you don't want to get rid of it, so sure. So we'll just have like random stuff, and then we just go into that random area. We don't always take people's stuff, but this was a client, so I was like, okay. So part of that weird scrim material got to go into this, and so it was just, really, really fun to like be able to have that challenge. I think there was a lot of challenges on this one. And that's one of our core values, is invite challenge. So I try to say that when I'm asking people to like bend over backwards or like do something with no budget and no time, and I'm like, invite challenge. They're like, so I want to talk about layering up and the patterns for the future, because I'm trying to stay on a theme with the patterns and the layers. My business is obviously like really fun and dynamic, and there's lots of different areas I can go talk about, but I wanted to specifically tell you about like where we're headed in the future and like what I'm working on, because then we'll go into Q&A, and then we'll see what you guys want to know more about. Obviously, I'm open book. This is my old shop, and I made a plaid floor, and I thought it reminded me of patterns and layering, so I used this as the slide. But in that theme, I want to tell you about kind of what we've been working on behind the scenes at Portland Garment Factory, and I've recently launched Studio Howard, which is my regenerative design practice. So that is my studio where I'm working specifically as a designer and or a consultant, or both. So I'm just doing design consulting, no actual physical making. So for instance, this is always my example. Let's use the Wacom. Say they were like, we're renovating and we want all new, we want to renovate, and we have a design team and an interior designer. They would bring me on as a partner in that crew to say, here's the best way we can do this sustainably, We can take all of the tabletops and turn them into planters that we're gonna, and I know the builder, and I can help you. I can help you all the way to the end, or I can just be big idea energy, which is like my Studio Howard little tagline, because it's just ideas about regenerative practices in design that are truly, you know, taking these curtains and pulverizing them and putting them into the cushions that would be in the break room for the employees, or so just like lots of different ways that we can utilize what we already have, but in a way that isn't like, it's upcycled. Like we're kind of headed in a different direction, I think, design-wise, and I think that's always been the issue with upcycling or downcycling, is that it's like ugly, and so, and I'm all for, you know, sustainability and all, obviously, and upcycling, but I'm trying to put a different spin on it. And so with Studio Howard, that was like something I've got off the ground subtly over the past year or two, and we have just a few clients. We're working with Cotopaxi right now. I'm working with a company that makes blow-up pools, and they're very beautiful, but they're plastic, and once they pop, so people send them back, and then they just go to a landfill. Well, I mean, they haven't. She's been hoarding them since she started her company. So now they're all with me, and we've developed this. It's going to launch later this year. We've developed all of these new things out of the pools, and that's really exciting for me, and I can't wait to like say more about that. But that would kind of be like a Studio Howard thing, and just looking at the world in a different way, design-wise, and the word regenerative, because I'm using that word more than sustainability, because I just feel like we need a new word in that arena, because sustainability, the word is overused, even though it's a really powerful word, and I don't hate it or anything. It's just, that's how I feel about that. So here we have Portland Garment Factory, Studio Howard, and recently we have a new sister factory called the Oregon Natural Fiber Mill. So the fiber mill is something I'm also going to tell you about, which is, I'll tell you about it in a second. Okay, so I should have been on this slide, and I apologize. This is the Studio Howard regenerative, and you know, it's studio-howard.com if you want to read this. This is all I like. It's a splash page at this point. It's not really about my website. It's more about me just proliferating the idea that like we're taking on tiny projects through the studio to you know, help our clients transform their creative process, shifting the focus from final product to the complete life cycle of the project. So really looking at, and this takes longer and it costs more for the clients, but I think ultimately it's where my interest is, and I think it's in the better interest of the planet, so and the people. So Oregon Natural Fiber Mill is a new company for Portland Garment for the family of businesses. This is a business that does manufacturing of garnetting, which is like essentially taking raw cotton or raw wool and making it into puff. And then you take that puff and you can make it into other things. So because I have my recycled waste at the factory, and then I now have these machines that can make puffy stuff, the idea is that yes, we did acquire a manufacturing company that makes springless mattresses, pillows, comforters, things like that. But what can we do with the idea behind Studio Howard, with the regenerative kind of lens on design, and Portland Garment Factory's capabilities for making things into different shapes, and the mill's equipment. And you can tell I'm very new at talking about this, and so I appreciate you guys letting me like practice on you, because this is very new for me. It's only like a month and a half or 2 months. So the mill has equipment that can be utilized in a different way than it's been being utilized for the past 50 years. So this business is old. It's 50 years old, and then it's using equipment that's from the turn of the 19th century. So the equipment that takes the raw cotton and the raw wool and pulverizes it and like makes it into garnetted, basically batting. Like if you've ever quilted or done anything like that, and it comes on like on a roll, it does that without the glue. It's very natural. So now we have all this new capability because it's different equipment. So it's kind of like the next generation for PGF is kind of finding the right, I think forging the path with customer or clients that come through the studio that want to do something really radical. I'm talking like, I'm talking like seating, no. Like I'm thinking like, say someone wanted benches like this, but in all of the Hilton hotels or something like that. Like I want to work with clients who don't know what the hell they're doing in sustainability. 1 minute.
No.
Oh, that's the other cue. Okay, I was like, oh God.
We talked about this.
Right, I know, I'm sorry. I'm so excited talking about the mill and practicing about all this that it's, I just feel kind of like vulnerable and like I'm just kind of talking to my friends about something, but I have lots of friends. Okay, thank you. So I really want to work with this through the studio and then utilizing like the 2 other businesses. I really want to work with, going back to the slide, layering. My ideal client would not be someone that is in my echo chamber, because I think that we can still work with people like Tillamook or people who just like get it. But I want to work with bigger companies who have the funds and don't have the understanding, because they can move the dial more, and they can also, they're more trendsetters than we think they are. And also they're the ones that need, if any change, like a micro change for them is a macro change for like the rest of the community, like the Hilton Hotel. Like if I could get in with their sustainability people and really radicalize them or something. They're kind of like one of my examples. I actually don't know much about the Hilton Hotel. If anybody's like, they're actually doing a really good job on sustainability. It just popped into my head because I see these like bigger places that are not going, like institutionalized organizations in this country that are not going anywhere, but they're maybe like, oh, we're sustainable. Like we have recycled, or we like don't wash our towels. It's like, that's actually good for you because you don't have to pay the labor for that. If I put my towel on the floor, that's like cute. That's like greenwashing. I mean, it's cool, but that's not what I'm talking about. And then we also have things locally, like all of the hospitals in Portland, for instance, have one laundry service that they utilize. So it's like all Providence and all of, OHSU and Legacy, they're all utilizing this one laundry service, and that laundry service has to throw into the landfill here in our state tons and like literal tons and tons and tons of waste, because if a snap breaks on like a medical garment, they can't reuse that. So they would be a great client for us as well, where we're like, okay, how do we take your waste and upcycle it or change it or whatever? So that's, could we pulverize it and put it into resin and make all of the tabletops for all the libraries and all the municipal buildings in the entire state? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but also it sounds crazy to be like, we're going to be climate neutral or carbon neutral by so-and-so dates. Like, well, then you need ideas and you need to implement them. So like that's one of the ways we can, by talking about these really weird ideas, like I feel like that's how we're going to move the dial with some of these companies. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.